So we now have some new information when it comes to Sammy Guevara, his plans with Impact Wrestling, what was scheduled to happen when Sammy Guevara was of course scheduled to be part of the Impact Wrestling TV tapings, a recent Impact Wrestling TV tapings, and why ultimately Sammy Guevara did not appear at those TV tapings. And we spoke about this briefly before, but if you're not aware, at one point the plan was to have Sammy Guevara work a recent Impact Wrestling TV tapings. It was a plan of Chris Jericho, Tony Khan, and Impact Wrestling officials. Plans were in place for Guevara to work these TV tapings. Guevara wasn't happy, reportedly, with some of the plans that were offered to him to work these TV tapings. He tried to pitch to the officials of something different. They weren't receptive to that, and in the end they decided, you know what, it's easier if we just send you back to Jacksonville and we send you back and do something else. And that was the situation. That was the situation in the end. Wow. We have some more information about it, and certainly some contrasting information, I would say, because we're certainly seeing a lot of difference in stories that are being put out there about this. So AEW star Sammy Guevara reportedly wanted to bring the Impact Wrestling X Division Championship with him back to AEW Dynamite with him. Now, as I mentioned, it's now believed that Guevara will not be working with Impact after there was some heat due to how he suggested changes to the creative plans before he was to work the Impact Wrestling television tapings from February 9th through February 11th. Now, as we spoke about before, Guevara landed in Nashville and was told by Impact officials that he wasn't needed, and reportedly had heat from both sides. Now, in an update from that, there was talk that Sammy Guevara was scheduled to be part of a six-man tag team match that would have aired on this week's episode of Impact Wrestling, where the winning team would then advance to a triple threat match to determine a new number one contender for TJP's X Division Championship. Now, according to Figure4Online.com, Guevara was reportedly set to team with Chris Bay and Ace Austin to face Trey Miguel, Josh Alexander, and Willie Mack. Now, it was noted before that originally the Sammy Guevara spot was actually planned for actually went to Black Taurus of the Decay. Now we know that Austin and Bay are teaming with Taurus this week and not Guevara. Now, Guevara reportedly suggested that he win the X Division Championship and then return to AEW Dynamite with it. The pitch was that Guevara would never lose the title and it would be stripped at some point, then put up for grabs in a tournament with Impact wrestlers. Guevara was scheduled to win 3 matches at the Impact TV tapings. AEW's Chris Jericho and Impact co-executive vice president Don Callis reportedly came up with the initial angle for Guevara in Impact, and whatever happened with Guevara getting heat also made them look bad too. Now, it was noted that Guevara was only scheduled for the Impact TV tapings that ran through February 9th through February 11th. There is no word yet on what is planned for the future between AEW and Impact, but word is that Guevara will not be involved. Now, before we get into opinions on that, what does that mean? I do want to read another report because Wrestling Inc. are reporting something different. They're reporting in their terms exclusive details. So they've said, quote, earlier this week reports began to circulate stating that AEW Sammy Guevara had creative issues when asked to perform at the recent Impact Wrestling TV tapings. AEW and Impact have seen a few crossovers in recent months, including the Good Brothers joining AEW champion Kenny Omega and on AEW Dynamite, and AEW president Tony Khan presenting paid ads on Impact Wrestling television. Matt Hardy and Private Party have also appeared on Impact Wrestling too. According to sources close to this situation, this again according from Wrestling Inc., that they have spoken with, the creative dispute between the two sides was not about Guevara wanting to win the X Division Championship and bring it to Dynamite. Rather, it seems the creative that Guevara was given for the tapings only featured tag matches, and Guevara asked to do singles matches instead. Wrestling Inc. was told that this was the root of the issues between both sides. Guevara is currently involved in a storyline in AEW where he has left the Inner Circle. 2 weeks ago on AEW television, when he left the stable, Guevara packed up his bags and abruptly left the AEW TV tapings. Jericho lamented Guevara's exit from the group this past Wednesday night and stated he hopes not to see him anytime soon. So, we're seeing difference in the reports there. Now, what I will say about the Wrestling Inc. Story there, because Wrestling Inc. usually are very reputable, they're a very well-read website, and I'm a fan of a lot of their guys' work, so that's not the case of, I don't think they do good work. What I will say is that certain websites have better connections with certain companies. I say this all the time about Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter. If Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter is saying something about AEW, chances are it's going to be probably accurate, because he has ties with people in AEW. He's friends with Tony Khan. Tony Khan has read the Wrestling Observer newsletters from when he was a kid, and because of that, Every time that Dave Meltzer has a story to say about Impact, about AEW rather, it's most likely going to be true because he's probably heard it from a very high source in AEW. When it comes to other people, Sean Ross Sapp, the guys at Fightful.com, if they're saying something about WWE, they've got very good sources with WWE and their information a lot of the time is accurate. It's the same with Wrestling Inc., but not with Impact Wrestling, because Wrestling Inc., you have to remember, was the same website that said when Kenny Omega was making his Impact Wrestling debut back in December, that it was just going to be a one-off. There was going to be no interaction really between AEW and Impact Wrestling after that. Kenny Omega was just going to appear on one episode of Impact Wrestling and that was it. He wasn't going to work any matches. It was a one-off relationship. Fans shouldn't get their hopes up. And furthermore, Don Callis was going to leave Impact Wrestling and just become a manager for AEW full-time. That is so far away from the truth, and that is so far away from what's happened. It does kind of baffle me slightly that a lot of the time people read these stories and then they just move on. Because pro wrestling news goes so quickly, people read it, then whatever happens, and then they move on. They don't look back and say, wait a minute, that story you said back in December is, so not factually accurate. Furthermore, is it not accurate, but it's not an exclusive because it wasn't even true. So what I will say about Wrestling Inc. saying that actually the X Division Championship stuff isn't true, it's just that he wanted to work singles matches as opposed to tag team matches. I think you have to look at it logically. And in reality, if the plans were the way that there are consistencies in all of these reports that have come out. The consistencies are Chris Jericho, Tony Khan, and Don Callis worked really, really hard to put this plan together for what Sammy Guevara was going to do at the upcoming TV tapings. Do you really think that Impact Wrestling would get so angry and get so frustrated if they've made these grand plans for tag team matches and Guevara says, you know what, I think I should work singles matches? Do you really think they would send Guevara home because of that? I don't think so. I really don't think that would be the case. Well, singles matches, they'd be happy just to have Guevara at the TV tapings because they know the ratings it would do. They know that people would be talking about it on social media. They know it would be good television. If Guevara came in and said, you know what, I fancy just doing singles matches, they would do it. So I really don't buy that it was just a case of he was going to do tag matches and he wanted to do singles matches and they went, oh, just go home. Enough's enough, you can go home. I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. I also don't buy that there is necessarily heat from all the reports we've seen. There isn't heat on Guevara. There isn't heat on AEW. AEW and Impact Wrestling are fine because it's a mutually beneficial relationship. Impact Wrestling knows that having AEW on board, having their talent, having people appear on their show from another company, having the AEW audience is a good thing. And AEW knows that having companies like Impact Wrestling makes them feel fresh. It makes them seem different to their main competitor, which is WWE. It keeps the talent happy. It keeps the fans guessing. And it makes it just feel like a different company. It makes it feel this extra level of being unique. So I don't think we're going to see the end of the relationship because of this. What I do find interesting, though, is the X Division Championship rumor. The reason I find that interesting because that is something that I could see a company like Impact sending a talent home over. Because again, if Sammy Guevara was scheduled to come in, work some singles matches, and then go back to AEW, if he's not happy with that and then says, actually, you know what, I think I should become the X Division champion, take the title to AEW and then not lose it, just get stripped and you can sort out a champion later on after the fact, that would be enough reason for an Impact Wrestling to go, who is this guy? Send him back. We don't need that. That seems to me more on the side of reality there, frankly. And again, you have to look at the source. The source is F4W Online. That is related to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. That is Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. Who do they have very good ties with? They have very good ties with AEW. Again, to me, that seems the more likely scenario. And frankly, I don't blame Impact Wrestling if that is the case. Look, if Sammy Guevara came into Impact Wrestling and he won the X Division Championship, would that be great for ratings and buzz on social media? Absolutely. 2 thumbs up. And you know me, if you've seen any of the videos when I've spoken about the X Division in Impact Wrestling, you'll know that I've been very vocal saying that I feel they need a greater focus on the X Division. They need a better pool of talent. They need to be pushing guys like Ace Austin, Chris Bay, etc. Those are the guys that really are going to be at the forefront. I love that Josh Alexander is getting involved with the X Division. It really does feel like since the turn of this year, starting off with the Super X Cup tournament, there really has been this renewed focus on the X Division. That's been great to see. Having Sammy Guevara come in, look, he's the perfect prototypical X Division champion. Taking it to AEW would absolutely be a big boost for Impact Wrestling. It would be more attention on Impact Wrestling. It'd be a greater focus on the X Division. I think that's great. What I don't think is great is Sammy Guevara not losing the championship ever, just getting stripped of it and then doing a tournament. How does that put Impact Wrestling in a good light? And this is the problem sometimes when you have relationships between companies, is eventually it always comes down to their talent versus your talent. And at the end of the day, would it be? I think it would put Impact Wrestling in a really difficult position, because ultimately they would have to think, okay, does it work for us in the short term of having Guevara win the title and then take it to AEW? Absolutely, because you're getting free promotion, you're getting ratings, you're getting buzz on social media. That's short term. In the long term, though, what does it really do for Impact Wrestling? You have an AEW outside talent come in, beat all of your talent in the X Division, so you're basically saying, look, this talent outside the company is better than our talent. That doesn't make your talent look good. And not only that, the end goal isn't your talent going over. The end goal isn't your talent becoming the X Division champion again. It's beneath Sammy Guevara to drop the X Division championship to them. At the very least, you would think, okay, if he comes in, if he wins the X Division title, if he carries it for a couple of months, if he's carrying it on AEW, all that kind of stuff, eventually, this is pro wrestling, you have to put someone over. Eventually, you have to lose a title. And if that was a case of, say, an Ace Austin or a Chris Bay, they face Sammy Guevara on a big stage, maybe even an AEW event or an Impact Wrestling event. Maybe it would be better to happen on an Impact Wrestling event. Maybe it's an Impact Plus event, whatever. In the main event, Chris Bay or Ace Austin wins the X Division Championship from Sammy Guevara. That pay-per-view would do big numbers. It would do great on social media, and it would do great all over YouTube and you name it. That would be successful for Impact Wrestling. That would be great short term. That would be great long term. Short term results, but you also put over a star like Chris Bay or Ace Austin in the long term. That would be fantastic. Sammy Guevara winning the title and then not dropping it to anyone, it only serves the purpose of getting Sammy Guevara over. It doesn't serve the purpose of helping out Impact Wrestling. The publicity would be great, but that's short term. Because eventually you can get eyeballs on the product, but if you got no stars, if you got no one that really hooks the viewer in, they're going to watch it and they're going to leave. It's the restaurant principle again. You can open up a restaurant and there can be a line down the block going for your food, and you think, great, we've sold out, we've got, we can't even fit people into this restaurant, it's great. They go into the restaurant, they try the food, it's terrible, they're not going to come back. And while Sammy Guevara might get the ratings and he might get the buzz on social media, if there's no stars, if there's no one he's eventually going to put over, the fans won't come back to carry on watching the show. That's just how pro wrestling works. So ultimately, this Sammy Guevara story, when we first heard it, that there was possibly some heat and that he was meant to work the TV tapings, then he didn't. Since then, it's become really murky. And like I said, there are so many different reports of he was meant to win the X Division title. He was only going to be in tag matches. He wanted to be in singles matches. He has heat. He doesn't have heat. Tony Khan's angry. Tony Khan's not angry. Chris Jericho's angry. Chris Jericho's not angry. Don Callis is frustrated. I feel like a lot of this information has come out to purposely murky the waters a little bit, purposely muddy those waters, because to me it seems a bit cut and dry as to what happened. Sammy Guevara was booked. Chris Jericho, Don Callis, Tony Khan, more experienced heads and more senior heads decided that this is what they wanted Sammy Guevara to do. They wanted him to come in, work a couple of matches at the TV tapings. That's it. Then Sammy Guevara thought, you know what? I should be doing something better. I should be winning the X Division Championship, whatever. I'm sure it would be cool for him, and I'm sure it would get a good reaction on social media, but you have to think of the company. And you have to think of the company's best interest. And look, at the end of the day, he's an AEW talent working an Impact Wrestling show. And a lot of the time, I agree with one of the reports that says, look, considering that you had Tony Khan and Don Callis and Chris Jericho working on this, and then it didn't happen, it does make them look bad. And if I was them, I would be frustrated. So it's certainly an interesting situation. Again, I wouldn't have been against Sammy Guevara winning the X Division Championship. I really want to get that across. I think it would have been great. I think it would have been really interesting, as long as the end goal would be to eventually put over another Impact Wrestling talent. It doesn't serve any purpose if the end goal would be Sammy Guevara just drops it for no reason and nobody gets over because of it. That to me just doesn't work. And ultimately, maybe that's why they didn't do it. But of course, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on possibly Sammy Guevara wanting to win the X Division Championship and take it back to AEW? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved with the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really just help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.